Bitcoin is above the 50% fib line. Can it stay above it? This is my new price prediction. Keep watching. Taking our analysis straight from the weekly chart, we see what looks like a nice pattern occurring. Actually, it's beginning to look more and more like a continuation pattern. I'll show you why. Last spring/summer of 2021, we see price action right about here. After this nice impulsive move, Bitcoin now registered this low of 31,600. Fast forward a year later, and we have a very similar pattern occurring right here. Make that a bit tighter. Yeah, well, that's about right. So we see a similar formation. And in this instance, this area of support is registering a higher high than it did the previous year. So the area of support a year later is higher than it was the previous year. Now that is a good sign, because that means we're registering a higher high on the support, and we're also registering a higher high over here at these two highest peaks. We registered a high of 60,000 last year, and so this year's high is obviously higher than the previous year's high. Now if we keep these price targets right here and get rid of everything else, now if we pull a Fibonacci retracement right about here, we'll take it right from the bottom to the highest point here, okay, which is not the top of the wicks in this instance, but it's the top of the highest point on the body, the highest body point. And then you'll notice during last year's dump, it dumped all the way down to the 61.8 fib at 31,600. This year we have that dump as well, but price action found support at a higher Fibonacci level than the previous year, right at that area of support or thereabouts. That again is a good sign. Now we see, after probably about 8 weeks of consolidation between these two levels, Bitcoin broke out with this big green candle 26th of July last year. And then if you look at the 3 EMAs, just about at the same point, you can see that the EMAs start turning upwards. We have a similar scenario playing out this time around as well. Bitcoin dumped, found a level, but fortunately the level is higher than last year's support level, and we have the EMAs starting to point upwards. So again, over the past about 8 weeks or so, Bitcoin's price has been consolidating again between the 50% and the 38% fib. We see something else going on this daily chart. We're able to see how price keeps on ricocheting off this area of support. It shows that it's a strong support level. That is very good. Price action, even though it has fallen below, it has not stayed below. That's another good sign. And the next sign again that we're looking at is that breakout above the present resistance of $44,500. Once that happens, then we're looking at Bitcoin going to an easy minimum of $78,000. If we get rid of the Fibonacci retracement levels and kind of try to zoom in a little bit on this daily chart, we have one part of the W and we have this formation going on right here. So what we want to see is we want to see it break above this neckline right there. And that neckline that we want it to break above is, again, we have that same figure coming up here, 44,648. I think we had a figure of 44,000, maybe 500 when we were looking at the weekly. So it's coming up again. This is what we want to break out above. This equates also to the 50% retracement line. That will be the day when I will confidently be able to say Bitcoin is back on a bull run. The last thing I want us to look at on this daily chart is volume. I'm going to draw a line to try to find an average volume point. Okay, I put it right about here. Now, every time you see a green volume bar breaking above this purple line, we see price action moving up. It happened here over 3 days. We see this green bar again breaking above this average that I've drawn in on the purple line. And at the point at which it breaks above the purple line 3 days in a row, we see this nice upward price action. So if you take note of the volume bar, you'll see whenever you see the green volume bar breaking above this purple line that I've drawn in, which basically just represents about an average of the volume recorded, then we see the nice upward movement of the price of Bitcoin. It happens here. We see at least 2 points where the volume bar breaks above this average, this purple average, and again we see this nice upward trend. It happens again here, slightly lesser volume, just about touching our average and upward movement. And look what's happening around here. It's trying to do the same thing. There it is again. Here is our volume, and here is this nice upward movement. So we really will be able to tell over the next couple of days if price action is going to break above the neckline. I'll attempt to draw that neckline in again, just so you can see what I see. And that is this nice W looking structure here. And so what we want is we want a completion of the W, and we want it to break above the neckline of our W or our double bottom. For those of you who don't know, a double bottom is a bullish pattern. If it follows this continuous pattern, then we can expect Bitcoin to break above 44,500 very soon. So now trying to predict the price of Bitcoin, how high it will go once it can break out, we're going to go by this last impulsive move. So I'm going to draw a trend line right from the bottom of the beginning of this move. That's about there to the top of this move. And I always like to measure by the close of the body and not the wick. And then move that measure of the previous impulsive move. So this is my price prediction for Bitcoin. Once it can break out above 44,500, I'm predicting a value of $72,000, so almost $73,000. That is at a low because I've taken this measurement from the area of support. If I were to take this measurement from the area of resistance where we're looking for the breakout, then we have a zone. So that zone is between these two purple lines, and we're looking at a breakout of Bitcoin to fall between $72,900 and $80,300. This is a conservative estimate. This does not incorporate the fact that we could have an explosive upward move of Bitcoin. And once we can secure the break above 44,500 and stay above it, then we still have the next two resistances at the 23% fib and the all-time high of Bitcoin of $69,000. So those are still two obstacles that need to be surmounted, but at least if we can first break above 44.5, stay above 44.5, then we're definitely on the path to hitting that all-time high and hitting my predicted prices of $72,000 to $80,000.